beautiful soul. This is Rochelle with the Healing Rose. So today I thought we would take a look at some of the divination tools or books that I have inherited. So, gifts from my grandma. All right, so I have some things that were left to me after she passed, and I have some things that actually were gifted to me when I was very young, when I was a teenager. And so let's start with those, because these are the other things are more recent. So this is I've probably had this since about 1986, maybe 86. 87. So Cairo's Language of the Hand. And this printing is from, all right, printing history. So published 1968, reissued 1975. So it's quite interesting. I think I was I might have been about 12 or so, I think, when she sent this to me. I used to live out on the prairies, and I would write her letters about stuff, what's going on in my life. And I think I'd been practicing yoga, and I must have written her something about yoga or meditation, because suddenly I got a care package with, alternative things in it. And one of the things was this lovely book, which, as you can see, I mean, it was clearly a used copy when I received it. So it has some very interesting drawings that are in here, a lot of history about, this is all, and now Cairo was quite famous back in the day, actually, because Cairo also had a numerology book that came out, and there was a few different, I wonder if they list a couple in here, I think. But there is, the Book of Numbers, which I have, the Guide to the Hand, and Palmistry for All. So these were the ones that were published by Corgi Books, that were also written by Cairo. Keep adding letters into things. Corgi, Cairo, yeah, that's why. So there are some drawings, and then I'm pretty careful with this now, because actually a number of pages are beginning to come out, because, the glue from 1975 has only held up to so many years of travel and wear. And so one of the easiest ways to actually do a proper palm reading isn't just by looking at someone's hand and trying to see the lines, but actually doing an ink printing, where you actually ink the hand and then put it on a piece of paper, press it down, get all the print, and then you can clearly see where the lines are and aren't. So these are all plates that are printed from different hands of different people that would have been famous back in the 60s, right? I'm losing my voice a little. So it gives us an overview of the lines of the hand, and it's really cool, to be honest. I kind of found it really fascinating. At one point, I think I did do an entire ink print of my hand, and of course there is a photo, an old image of Cairo. And so there's a lot of really interesting information about palmistry, various phases of insanity, and the different marks in the hand that relate to it, the nature of a madman. I think that's quite interesting, that, you could tell just by looking at someone's hand whether or not they're insane. Pardon me. Oh my. So this was a really fun book that I actually read a lot. Then I was sent a series of, and I think I had discovered a book that was a book from the Rosicrucians, and I can't remember what it was called, but it also had a red cover, and it disappeared at some point in one of our many, many moves many years ago. And so I think I'd written her about that, oh, I've been reading through this book, and it was all about, it was like levitating, it was astral projection, it was astral traveling, it was remote viewing, it was all these little things for like how to learn how to do it step by step, their process and training, right, in the book. So that was like super cool to have. So hand analysis, a technique for knowledge of self and others. So this I received in a care package along, and this one I think came a little bit later, but I'd written her a letter, and in response to the letter I got this funny little package of these, these language of the hand. You can tell how old I was because everything had a unicorn. I got a unicorn stamp, and everything had that unicorn stamp in it. Shortly after that, after the stamp, I actually ended up getting like book plates, so everything had a unicorn book plate. But what are you gonna do when you're wee? So this was 1967, third printing, 1968. What palmistry can reveal. So again, it was more about reading the palm. So I got this one, and then I received this one a little while later. And so this one is also quite interesting. The types of hands. What a picture to take, because do we need to know why they're in that person's mouth? I mean, but dentists have a specific type of hand, right? The useful hand, the creative hand, the spatulate hand. And so the shape of the hand having to do with whatever stuff, what the psychic hand looks like, the size of your hand. It's fascinating. There's a lot of interesting things, and for the most part the two books actually agree, but there's some interesting points that I remember going, well, this one says this thing and this one says that thing, and I've never heard of this lady, but I've definitely heard of Cairo, so therefore he must be the authority on it. And so it'll be all Lawrence might have some information, but Cairo is going to be my kind of go-to. But, there's nice that there was like a quick reference, right, to be found on the different mounts of the hand. So depending whether you have a symbol here or here or here or here, and what those symbols mean, and, different oddities in the hand. So it was quite interesting. And I was like, oh, this must be a sign, right? So after I had received these, later that year, I think it was the next year, I received my first tarot deck. And when I wrote and told her I had a tarot deck, guess what I got sent? I got sent Tarot Card Spread Reader. This is by Doan and Keys. And so here's the cool thing about this, right? There's a note in the back dated June 3rd, 1967. And there's this booklet, and it's stapled in here. Right, so she wrote the date on the booklet and then kept the booklet, and the date must have been when she had received it, I think. And so a free booklet reproduces 78 tarot cards with strange and marvelous powers. What a fabulous ad. Can you imagine seeing an ad like this today? Strange and marvelous powers, which are said to reveal what will happen to you in the future, days, months, even years ahead, help you solve your personal, business, and spiritual problems, show you how to make your wishes come true, warn of possible threats to your health, and guide you toward a longer, happier life. The things people believed about tarot back in the day, right? In 1967. Reveal unknown enemies to you and show you how to turn the tables on them. Guide you to hidden treasures, help you find missing objects, tell you where to contact long-lost relatives, and disclose your cosmic mission in life. Dear friend, how would you like to be able to see so far ahead into your future to spot well in advance the vast opportunities, the enormous riches, and fascinating new friends, and the avoidable dangers that are waiting for you? You can do it! With the booklet containing reproductions of the 78 cards, one of which is pictured above, the very cards used by the mightiest wizards, prophets, and magicians of all times. These cards are yours free, but before I tell you how to send for them, here are just a few of these prophetic cards and the incredible powers they possess. The Magus, mind over matter. This card gives you the power to will things into existence, actually turn your thoughts into their material duplicates. Can you imagine if the cards actually did that? That's hilarious. The Conqueror, the Emperor. Irresistible victory. This card gives you the power to command and control others, overcome the obstacles in your way. The Wheel, change of fortune. She loved the wheel. I tell you, that woman would flip through a tarot deck and she got the wheel and then go, okay, perfect. My luck is about to change. I'm off to the casino. It was priceless. This card gives you the power to make the laws of chance always turn in your favor, help you win any game or contest you enter. The Hierophant, enlightenment. This card gives you the power to synchronize your mind, body, and emotions and release titanic inner forces. The Sun, circle of friendship. This card gives you the power to draw people to you, makes others want to know you and be your friends. There are other power cards like these. And it just goes on. Like, it's the best sales pitch for tarot I have ever read in my life. And it's just hilarious because we don't see ads like this anymore. Because you can't say, this card will give you power over people. If you, like, it just doesn't happen, right? And so it talks about the tarot spreads and how you can awaken, the Great Awakening will transform your life. You know, and a special message is waiting for you, right? And then it's like, you know, get started immediately. Fill out the enclosed card. So you get a free tarot reproductions in convenient booklet form with your 10-day copy of the tarot card spread reader. Send for yours today. She clearly sent away for this. Like, she clearly sent away. So there's the ad, right? If that isn't like the best 60s sale pitch, like back of a comic book ad to send away, you know, now to get this thing, I don't know what is, right? So this was stapled in the book. Here's the booklet, your reproduction set. If you want the real professional cards, you can send away for them to the Church of Light. And so it shows you, like, these are the cards. Here's your reproduction. So if you want to, you can just cut these out. Cut each of the cards out, you know, or photocopy them onto cardstock and cut them out and make your own deck. Which I actually thought, yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's a pretty cool idea, right? Clearly a pip deck, so very, very Marseille style. I like the fact that these stars have all these interesting little configurations, right? So very, very kind of cool, right? So, and then this is, of course, the tarot spread reader that comes with it. And so, very, very interesting. So this publication is from 1968. May 1968 is when the second printing came out. What this book can do for you. And so this is, what's really cool in here is that we have these epic spreads. And then, you know, how to read it. Like, here's the spread and here's it demonstrated. And so there's some really cool different old, like, tarot spreads that I just never see anymore in any book. So it's really cool to have these in here. There's some really cool layouts. The spread of 36, which to me is very, very much like the Grand Tableau from Lenormand. So this is just like a really cool thing to have, right? I was like, oh, okay, this is far out. Like, you know, what a crazy, this is like 49, 50. I think this is a 50 card spread, the life spread. There's a horseshoe spread that's 54 cards. There's the 12 houses of the horoscope. And then, of course, it gets into the meanings for these cards, which I have not come across a copy of these. What are these cards even called? Ancient Egyptian Tarot card set. The 78 Egyptian Tarot Cards, copyright by the Church of Light, Los Angeles, California. Used in the Hermetic System spread, illustrated in the book Tarot Card Spread Reader. That's so good. I'm getting my words really organized. So this was a really cool thing to get, actually, when I first started reading, because I loved the amount of spreads in there, because with my first deck, I had a copy of this, right? And this, you know, gives you a couple of spreads, but not a lot. How many spreads do we get in here? The Outer Method. I think they're like way in the back. So there's not like a lot of what they say, like, you know, for the spreads themselves. We've got our Celtic Cross spread, and an alternative method of reading the cards, doing 3 lines or 6 lines of 7, which is, you know, other than that, it's like, okay, what do you do with it? Like, there's not a lot in the old pictorial key to the tarot, the old Rider-Waite book. So these were really cool things to get in my early teens, when I first started really delving into the kind of esoteric studies, right? So then when she passed, there was a little box that she had, and she had 3 versions of the JJ Swiss tarot cards. So this one had no box, which I'm assuming it came in the box set, because there was this little fabulous map, right? And if you've collected tarot at any point in time, you know that there's always these ancient, big, huge maps. It's like you put it down and here's where your cards go. And this means this means that, and here's how to lay it out, so you can, you know, learn your spread. Tarot fortune telling game. So that's kind of fun that the poster is there. So that poster tells me one of the decks, and I think it was probably this one, actually came in a box set with the card, or with the book rather, because the book originally came out as a hardcover. And when you bought this deck back in the day, it referenced buying the hardcover of this. So this is a Marseille style deck, and the book is such an ancient book. So what is this? Copyright 1970. What's the printing of this? I'm not 100% sure. Fourth printing, June 1973. So that's the soft cover edition. So I am assuming, because these were the cards that were not in a box, there was 2 decks, and we could tell by the backs, these ones actually look like the newest ones. So I think these ones didn't even come with the book. I think these were a replacement deck that she bought, because you could tell by the darkness of the back. The older the decks were, the more kind of faded out they were, right? So there was a slight difference in color tone on the deck backs. The other ones were dramatically lighter, and I was assuming that was like the oldest set. I think that's the set that I gave to my daughter. So this is the set in the box. So this is the 1974 version. This one I'm assuming she got in the box set. Or maybe the one that my daughter got is in the box set. Oh no, I think hers might be in a box. These ones, I counted them out, and there is 1 card missing. So there's of course this, you know, there's a 96-page hardcover book called Tarot Cards for Fun and Fortune Telling, which is this here. There is a little other tarot decks, games, popular gifts, items from US Games, and you can request their catalog. So Tarot Fortune Telling, Blocks, Gypsy Witch, Mademoiselle Lenormand deck, tarot cocktail napkins, tarot fortune telling posters, Florentine box with IJJ tarot deck, Rider Waite, tarot fortune telling game, tarot classic gift set, tarot classic book by Stuart Kaplan, tarot classic deck, and tarot cards for fun and fortune telling. So, and there is the little booklet which only gives you meanings for the major arcana and one spread to use, and it tells you when you first start, just shuffle and use the major arcana until you learn those, and if you want to learn about the rest, buy the book, which is like, wow, that's a lot to do for people. So these ones are the full size. So this is what this deck looked like, only I feel like this was the deck she probably used the most because it was so beat up. It was starting to be like how this is, like really worn, really well shuffled. And so I took it, I shuffled it repeatedly the other way to get the deep bend out. As you can see, these ones have a deep bend because she always shuffled just one way. And then I trimmed it down because the edges were so dark and dirty and ratty that I wanted to make it nicer. And I was thinking actually about edging it, because this I think was the most, and it's a very subtle difference from one to the other. And I think because these ones didn't live in a box and these ones stayed in the box, that's the major difference. So these ones are, as you can see, they're a very bright, bold deck, but it is, of course, a Marseille deck, so it is the Pip style deck. The minors have no illustrations other than the baton or the cups or the coupe. We have the swords. We have the, look at that, isn't that fabulous for the two? And we have the coins, which is kind of fabulous. Really beautiful, old school style Marseille variation, you know, that Kaplan found over in Europe, brought back and was like, yeah, this is the thing. This is what we're making happen. All right, okay, just get back in the box. Okay, we'll do that later. I don't need to fuss with it now. So yeah, so this is what they originally look like. And then I cut them down. So, and actually I'm quite sure that these ones did not have the big, did they? They couldn't have, because look, I only trimmed the borders. Very interesting. Oh, I guess they must have. Yeah. I'm just seeing the Fool didn't have a number there. But yeah. So I trimmed them down and then rounded the corners with my corner edger. And I'm quite happy with this size. I really like it, especially for using for some of the big spreads. So we still have this one that I can use. And I don't actually don't remember which card it is that's missing. I would have to go through them all to remember again which card it was that was not in this deck. But I don't think it matters. This is just my, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. Maybe like use the cards like in a junk journal or use them. I was actually thinking of just getting sticker versions of my business card and sticking them on the back of these and using them that way for special events. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but it's just an extra, right? So they're just floating around. Who knows what's going to happen with those, right? So we have the lovely book that is coming apart. And we've got the beautiful, bright, bright yellow poster. Okay, so then, fabulous. Fabulous is all this is, right? We have things like this. So the tarot scope. You can't get these anymore. Your future in a scratch. So these were little scratch things, right? So it's like, It tells you instructions: scratch until 3 numbered tarot cards are revealed. Getting an arrow shows that a card has been chosen for you. Scratch the box indicated. So, you scratch this and it tells you, oh, you have to scratch this. All right. If you scratch this one, it tells you, oh, this is your card. So here's 2 of your cards. Scratch the X. It indicates you've shuffled the tarot deck. Scratch again. And then to use Taroscope, take the number from each card scratched to match the 3 numbers to locate your tarot reading. And then you go here. And so we've got 1, 2, and 4. So 1, 2, 4. You are upon the completion of a task or undertaking some time ago. Patience is the key word for the beginning of August. Card number 1 bears an indication of money. Card number 2 is a grand card. Here again, money is suggested. And your lucky number for August is 9, a number signifying leadership. Really interesting. How did they get number 9 out of 1, 2, and 4? Because that's like, yeah. So it's like money. Oh, you're going to get so much money. August is going to be amazing for you. Yeah, it's kind of a hilarious little nod to these little. Taroscope employs the IJJ Swiss Tarot deck, one of the most popular decks in the world. This deck is made up of 78 cards, blah, blah, blah. It's published, Taroscope published by Lundar Investments out of Calgary, Alberta. Reprinted by permission of U.S. Games. Copyright from 1970. So is that not absolutely hilarious that there was like a scratch horoscope thing? So it's not like you just even like, the little horoscope booklets. All right, so here's another little fun thing that was just in the box with the decks. How to unlock the magic secrets of tarot. And it's interesting because we have like a Marseille style cards on the cover. And this is from the 80s, is it not? Oh yeah, copyright 1987. And so this is Rider-Waite Tarot. So this is another little like US Games influenced. Yeah. And so it gives you like a little blurb about each card that's in here, which is quite interesting. So some of them get a whole page, some of them get part of a page. I think they had a certain page number that they would allow, and then our last few pages actually are all coming loose. But that was kind of a hoot, a little throwback, right, to have these little things. And then we have Fortune in Your Hand. So unlock the secrets to your future, discover hidden talents, amaze your friends, learn the science of palmistry from a world-famous authority. So Elizabeth Daniel Squire, everybody was an authority on palmistry back in the day. And so when was this book from? This is an older book. This feels like a 60s book to me as well. First printing, copyright 1960, first printing April 1968. So again, this is just a really, and of course it's a Signet Classics. Signet actually I think was bought out by Penguin at some point. Signet turned into Penguin. I'm not sure what happened there. Those publishers from my childhood. So this is quite interesting because this gives you a lot of history about palmistry. Like there's the first kind of chapter, how it all began, is like a good, solid 20 pages there. The hand at a glance or the handshake, how people hold their hand if they tuck the thumb in all the time or if they have their thumb out. And subconscious signals from there. It gives us, so this is full of like interesting little diagrams of the shapes or swirls or kinds of lines, right? Clearly palmistry was a thing. Palmistry in the tarot, right? And then the other thing that I did inherit, which you may have seen in my rune comparison, this is the rune deck by Richard Blum, I believe. I don't have the book. The book is ridiculously expensive. I was talking with my mom about it, and she's like, oh, I have a copy of that deck too. with the book. So she's going to send me her version of it, which is a little late. It's not as well used as this. My grandmother really liked cards. She was hilarious with cards though, because she would sit and shuffle and go through. And this has a couple of cards missing, which I almost feel like, were they lost, or did she just decide she didn't need them anymore? I don't need that message, so I'm taking it out, because that would have been something she would have done. But she would go through and she would like shuffle a deck, and then she'd be like, okay, where's my card? Protection. No, that's not my card. Oh, harvest. Yes, that's a good card. Okay, that's a good sign. Harvest, that's good. Means luck, it means money. So away I go, and now's the time for me to pop out to the casino because I got my good card, right? But if harvest wasn't there, if it was something else, she would keep going and going, and she would go through the whole thing until she was like, you know, got a card that like meant good luck. If she got like the, you know, constraint, oh, that's not my card. That's not my card. Oh, that's not my card. That's not my card. And she would just go through the deck like that, which was awesome. And she never used to do that. But she definitely started doing that like in the last decade. She's like, nope, only positivity for me. Thank you very much. So this clearly was a very well used deck that she had. Didn't seem to have the book anywhere. So I think she just knew the deck so well that she didn't need the book anymore, you know? So it was kind of fun to have. I think it's nice to have that kind of interesting connection to the past, you know. So yeah, kind of a fun thing. It's not a complete deck, so I don't use it for reading. Not really a valuable thing either, even though I know it's out of print, because I think knowing it's not complete and it doesn't have the book and it's in this stage of beat up, it's probably like, you'd be lucky, I think, to get $5 for it. But, you know, for me, it's a really fun, cool thing to have. And I love having her old, tarot deck, because I also just think that's a really fun thing to have. And I don't read Marseille style, but I'm actually I want to learn how to read, because the Marseille meanings are definitely a little different than the Rider-Waite, right? Overall, like, even though some of the cards may be the same kind of an image, a lot of the symbolism is quite different. Like some of the essential meanings are quite different, but I find it very interesting. I often choose to, because I read Rider-Waite, I often do choose to get readings from someone that reads Marseille style, so that I am not reading for myself. Do you know what I mean? Like if you already read cards and you go and get a reading, you're like, she's seeing that, but I see it this way, so how is she getting that out of there? Like, that's not this way. It's like, if I go and I get a Marseille style reading, I have no idea, like, because I'm much less familiar with it, and it definitely has different meanings for some of the cards. So to me, it really gives me like that space to step back and just like receive the reading, where I'm not looking at it going, oh, okay, well, that must mean that. Oh, I'm getting a sense of this from it. Like, I can just disconnect and just allow that to experience it, right? Which is kind of cool. So I love the little tarot scope. You know, 99 cents for your horoscope to scratch for the month. I love it. It's like, what's my horoscope? I don't know. What are the numbers? There's only so many numbers. There's only like the combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, even though there's so many options, right? So it's like you could scratch off anything. It's like where you choose to scratch, it tells you whether or not that's going to be your card. I think that's kind of hilarious, to be completely honest, but we'll just tuck that in there and keep that safe. So I hope you enjoyed this little look at some of the fun little tools and items that I have received, which is kind of, I think it's fun myself. I think it's really interesting to, you know, to have someone in the family that you're inheriting these kinds of things from. And definitely, obviously, if you've been on my channel, you know, I've got quite the interesting collection. So that's going to be fun for my grandkids or great-grandchildren to receive when I pass, if they would be someone that would be, you know, receptive to receiving that kind of a thing, or if it'd just be something they'd be like, ugh, and just sell off right away, right? And so I think that's quite fun. What's really interesting to me is this actually was in this necklace, the actual magnifying glass, right, was in the bin with the cards as well. So this is kind of like my, I don't know, Oculus scrying mirror. I don't know what I call it, but I like to have it on my reading table because it's just, it's kind of that reminder to, like, you know, just look closer, to like look at the details to see what's there. So that's kind of fun. So I'd love to hear if you have some kind of interesting divination tool or esoteric tool that you have inherited from a grandmother or a great aunt or someone else in your family that might have had a similar sort of interest into the esoteric occult sort of realm as you might have if you're here on my channel. So that actually, I would love to hear about that. To me, it's so fascinating when people actually receive these kinds of cool things. So if you've stuck it out to the end and listened to all my ramblings, thank you so much for making it to the end. If you want to hit that little thumbs up button or subscribe, that would be amazing. And I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful week and a fabulous day. Take care.